Alrighty, so I just finished watching the replay of El Trafico because when this game was happening, I was still at work, and by the time I was off work, I think this was already in the 70th minute, but I did watch straight from the beginning once I got off work, and yeah, I think it's safe to say that this was pretty much a typical El Trafico game, because one thing we know about El Trafico is that it's basically a track meet throughout the entire part of the game. The midfield doesn't exist whatsoever, and the tactics out of this game is pretty much non-existent. I mean, it was just kind of like a glitch match to see who, of course, can outscore each other. And in this game, it was LAFC, the one that is able to outscore the Galaxy. Though I will say that one thing that cost the Galaxy in this game, self-inflicted mistake. I mean, some of these mistakes, some of these goals that they conceded against LAFC and aren't really just goals that was because LAFC did a good job in terms of the build-up. It's mostly because of bad turnover on the defensive end. Now, early on, I just want to quickly say that it felt like it was 60 to 40 in terms of LAFC fans and Galaxy fans, and obviously, throughout the game, you can definitely hear the 3-2-5-2. They were in full voice, and it was also not a big surprise to see the fact that the support group did not show up in this game, despite the fact that they did have an emergency meeting about whether or not they show up or not. They decided not to show up and continue to boycott this game. Though, when you look at the supporter section, there was definitely a lot of white in the supporter section, and I think that was by default because of the way that I think the Galaxy have said that they do not allow any LAFC fans to be in the what was the supporter group section. But still, despite the fact that that is the case, it was pretty clear that LAFC fans were pretty much the majority in this one compared to the Galaxy fans, and there was definitely more black that we've seen in that crowd compared to white that we've seen in the crowd. But in the second minute, Pooch did hit one over the bar from long range. This is probably the best game that Ricky Pooch had played this season. I mean, he was very active in this one, and so was the Galaxy. I mean, they looked like they were on the front foot. They looked like they were the more positive side and tried to draw first blood in this El Trafico. As I mentioned, as expected, the 3-2-5-2 was in full voice, and again, it just feels like this game was at BMOS Stadium. It does not feel like this game is at the home of the Galaxy. It feels like the Galaxy are on the road, and LAFC, of course, is at home. But in the 10th minute, McCarthy did deny Chicharito as the flag went up. So even if Chicharito puts it away, it wouldn't have counted. Cifuentes then had LAFC first shot, but is deflected wide. And then the track meet that we're accustomed to from El Trafico begins. Because while early on, the Galaxy at least tried to kind of dominate possession, this is where we started to kind of see some back and forth action between both of these teams. And that, again, the midfield basically was non existent up to this point. Rodriguez then was in on goal there, but he missed wide in the 12th minute before Chicharito would pose it wide after McCarthy actually came off his line late. And I think John McCarthy got away with this one because, yeah, the fact that he came off his line late and Chicharito almost slots it into the empty net there. But we remain nil-nil up to that point, and in the 17th minute, Kinsman on the other end denied Opoku from long range, and you just kind of had a feeling this opening goal was coming. Like with the way that the chances were coming for both teams, especially from the Galaxy, you were thinking that maybe this opening goal is not going to it's not going to be long before we do see the opening goal. And it turns out that was the case because in the 21st minute, we do get the opening goal, but it's not from the Galaxy, it's from LAFC as Carlos Vela. I mean, what can you say about Carlos Vela that hasn't said? I know this season he's been. I mean, I will say that for the last couple of years, Vela hasn't been kind of like the vintage Vela that we saw from his MVP season in 2019, but this was just a vintage Vela goal. I mean, that left foot is just so deadly. He absolutely curled that one beautifully. That Jonathan Kinsman had absolutely no chance in terms of saving that. But yeah, that gave LAFC a 1-0 lead. Hollinshead tried to double that lead, but he heads it wide from the corner before Cifuentes' shot was actually deflected. It took a wicked deflection that goes wide, but there was no doubt momentum was all with LAFC. And this is the thing, for the Galaxy, despite the positive start, if they give up a goal, all of a sudden LAFC will have the momentum and maybe the meltdown, of course, would begin. But yeah, they had all the possession and all the momentum. Well, I wouldn't say possession, but definitely the momentum. And I've also wrote all those good attacking moments that the Galaxy had, at least in the first 15 minutes. It was gone. Like they weren't able to replicate that after going down 1-0. There was a shout for a penalty from the Galaxy fans that was not given before Cefuntes would heads it wide from the cross, and then McCarthy had to deny Boy, who tried to hit it from long range. But then, just 2 minutes later, Tyler Boyd would once again hits it from long range, and he buries it as he scored here from Bergman to tie the game up at one apiece. I feel like McCarthy probably should have done better in this. I mean, it was a powerful shot from Tyler Boyd, but McCarthy, I feel like he could have done a little bit better in terms of pushing that one away. But yeah, nevertheless, the game was tied up at one apiece. For the first time, Galaxy fans had something to cheer about because up to that point, it was pretty much LAFC fans making the noise, and the 3-2-5-2 was definitely making the stadium shake with the presence that they'd shown. But I also note that just like that, the Galaxy have the momentum back, and now it looks like LAFC were the one that is on the ropes a bit as we head to halftime. But thankfully for them, they were able to seize that pressure that the Galaxy put right near the end of the half, and we had to halftime with the score 1-1, and just as you want to be heading into the second half in this highly contested game. Now, in the second half, again, I thought the game still feels open. The midfield still doesn't exist, but I also thought that neither team looked sharp in the final third. It kind of started to be a little bit scrappy, and it almost feel like I think both of these teams, they're trying to go quickly on the attack, and they maybe gone a little too quickly in terms of it. And sometimes when you try to go quickly on the attack, you want to catch the defense off guard. But also, the other thing that could be a problem is that if you don't go too quickly, you don't have time to set up your teammate in a good position to trying to find those space. And I just kind of feel like that was the case for both of these teams. They were just trying to go so quickly on the attacking and looking to trying to really hit each other on the counter, and nobody is really set in the final third to really be getting into a good spot to score, have a chance to score that second goal. Though Acosta did hit one right to Kinsman in the 63rd minute, and then in the 66th minute, a penalty was given to LAFC after Koulibaly brought down Fuentes. But yeah, this was just, again, I talk about the self-inflicted mistake from the Galaxy. This was an example of it. I mean, just this was just a terrible throw-in for Raheem Edwards, who just kind of gave the possession away on the throw-in. I mean, I'm pretty sure Galaxy fans need to remind Raheem Edwards that even though he's been part of both sides of this rivalry, he doesn't play for LAFC anymore because he literally threw it right into Cefuntes, and then Cefuntes was in on goal there. Koulibaly had to do something, and unfortunately he brought him down there. So clearly a penalty for LAFC, and Vela steps up to take the penalty, and he scored. So that give LAFC the 2-1 lead. Vela, of course, have a brace up to that point. And then a couple of minutes later, we did see a beer thrown toward Vela's head. And, I think throughout this game, they did had just kind of like the plastic cup as the beer instead of, just the metal one. I mean, it's expected because with the way that we have seen before, where both of these fan bases have had a history in terms of throwing trash onto the pitch. I'm pretty sure the vendors for this game was taking no risk. They cannot sell any of these beers that were from metal, but still, that has to be that still maybe can hurt Vela a bit, and especially again, you just hate to see that this kind of thing it is where it's one thing for emotion to get out of hand on the pitch, but it's another to have it in the stands too. And in some way, I would also like to say that I don't know who exactly threw that beer. I think most likely it's a Galaxy fans that threw that beer, but he and his team instantly got karma for that because literally, before we even had a chance to talk about that incident, Hollinshead would make it 3-1 as he scored from Vela here to make it 3-1 in favor of LAFC. I mean, wrote instant karma with a question mark and an exclamation mark. I mean, it was basically instant karma. Like, the soccer gods basically were not happy about that, and they immediately punished the Galaxy because of it. But on a more serious note, that was terrible set piece defending from the Galaxy. I mean, just too many player ball watching there in the box, letting Hollinshead open there, and yeah, that gave LAFC the 3-1 lead. The Galaxy chant was definitely heard around the stadium. Not sure that was chant not only by the 3-2-5-2, but probably even some of the Galaxy fans too, because again, knowing the statement that Chris Klein had made this year that he will step down as the president if this team does not make it to the playoffs, which that definitely doesn't seem like it's the case, at least in this early part of the season. I think the Galaxy fans are starting to turn on their team, and it was heard very loud around the stadium. Opoku then slides it wide after a lightning counterattack for LAFC. The track meet is definitely back. I mean, it was back and forth once again, and you kind of had a sense that the Galaxy had to do it because they had to throw men forward. As much as it would be embarrassing for them to lose 4 or even 5-1 against LAFC. They have to push forward to try to get themselves the second goal. And again, that kind of plays right into LAFC hand because they were happy to sit back and trying to catch the Galaxy, who trying to push men forward and get a lot of space for them on the counter attack. So in the 81st minute, Pooch, which struck the post from long range, and that was an absolute right foot from Ricky Pooch. Unfortunately, the post denied him there. And then McCarthy, he absolutely robbed Chicharito there. I mean, first of all, what a ball this was from Ricky Puig to play in Chicharito. But yeah, that's one that Chicharito would love to have back. I mean, I thought he had a decent game in this one too, even though I know some people will say, yeah, Chicharito basically was a ghost in this one because he didn't score a goal. I mean, I thought at least there's times where he was in good area to score a goal, and this is one that Chicharito would love to have back. I mean, it was a great save from McCarthy, but on a 1v1, you usually see Chicharito buries it, but McCarthy basically says no. The Galaxy was definitely pushing hard to get one back. Chicharito then had another chance from the corner, but he heads it wide from close range. But then in the 84th minute, the Galaxy get one back. It's Delgado scoring from Chicharito to make it 3-2 in favor of LAFC, and here we go again because this is the thing about El Trafico is that it's never boring. There's always some craziness that can happen, and it just sets up to be another crazy finish once again in El Trafico. In fact, we get 8 minutes of stoppage time because somewhere the referee probably decided, yeah, let's not stop this game so soon. Let's keep going this game and just really continue of what has just been a madness of the game that we've seen in this one. But in the second minute of stoppage time, McCarthy would deny Caligari, who trying to shoot from long range. I mean, that's unusual to see a defender's trying to shoot from long range and actually had to make McCarthy to tip it over behind for a corner. Before on the other end, Bawanga did try to finish it, and with how hot that Bawanga has, you would definitely bet that he would have made that 4-2, but he was robbed by Kinsman there in the 6 minute stoppage time. And then the ninth minute of stoppage time on what was one of the final minute of the play and some ensuing corner that the Galaxy had. Chicharito and Acosta, they definitely share some choice words, and I have a feeling it's not about what they're gonna do after this crazy El Trafico is over. But in the end, LAFC they hold on to win 3-2 against the Galaxy. This is actually the first time that they have beat the Galaxy at Dignity Health Sports Park as so far in this rivalry. The Galaxy, at least they've been holding fort at home. They've been able to win or draw every El Trafico when it's play at their home ground, but not this time. And in some way, it's kind of I think it kind of makes sense the fact that when this game is pretty much dominated by LAFC fans and it felt like it's a home game for LAFC, maybe this was going to be the one that the Galaxy were going to finally lose their first El Trafico at home, and indeed that is the case. But the shots in this one, 18 shots for the 14 that the Galaxy had, 9 shots on goal for the 5 that the Galaxy had, 5 shots off target compared to the 4 that LAFC had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 5 that LAFC had, and possession-wise, 66% possession compared to 34% possession that LAFC has in this game. And like I said, overall, it was a very typical El Trafico, and that that this game is going to provide some craziness, which we did get exactly that. But I think at the end of the day, the difference was the self-inflicted mistake from the Galaxy, giving the ball sloppily on the defensive end, and that really, when you look at the goals that were scored, like 2 of the goals that the LAFC scored in this game was coming off of a turnover. Like again, the goal, the penalty that Vela scored, that penalty wouldn't happen if Raheem Edwards didn't just give the ball away from a throw in, and then the goal that they gave up. And while it was a great goal from Vela there, if you look back a couple of seconds later, it came off of a bad turnover from the Galaxy, where LAFC had a chance to go the other end. So yeah, overall a very frustrating game for the Galaxy. And again, this is a game that it's hard for me. I mean, I can understand why Galaxy fans are still in blown panic and are just thinking it's doom and gloom. Though again, depending on who you ask, they might say this is a good thing because this is one step closer for them to eventually get rid of Chris Klein as their president. But at the end of the day, I will say that in terms of the attack, this was probably the best attacking performance I've seen the Galaxy play this whole season. But unfortunately, the defense was probably one of the worst uh, defensive display that they played this season. And on top of that, they just unable to get one over their rival. And yeah, they need to move on because again, it's hard for this team to eventually come back because this would maybe if they could have won this game, maybe this could have acted as a way to kickstart their season. But as it stands, I mean, in the end, LAFC just a better team, capitalize on those mistakes, and they can continue to be unbeaten and look like a team that is like last season, an unstoppable force, even if they're in multiple competition. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the recap of this latest edition of El Trafico. Certainly, I know a lot of people are looking forward to the next El Trafico, which I believe the next El Trafico is the one that's happening at the Rose Bowl on the 4th of July, because I think there's going to be free El Trafico this season, if I'm not mistaken. And again, the other one we were supposed to have one coming into this game already with that game at the Rose Bowl, but because of the inclement weather that delayed it to the 4th of July. But yeah, that should be if we see if this is a game that can be like a foreshadow of what we see on the 4th of July game. Believe me, there's going to be a lot of fireworks again when both of these teams meet each other at the Rose Bowl for that 4th of July game. But there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.